All right, thank you, John. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to be giving the software development update as I've done usually at every ARIN meeting, just to keep community apprised on our efforts regarding our software and engineering developments. Oh, that was successful. There we go. So the things I'm going to cover is I'm going to go over strategic guidance that we received regarding what we should be working on with regard to engineering software projects. Talk a little bit about how work is prioritized within the organization. Talk as well about projects that we've completed since the last ARIN meeting, ARIN 40 in San Jose. And then also chat a little bit about upcoming and ongoing initiatives within the software development realm. So starting first, so every August the Board of Trustees meets and they review the strategic plan. And in doing that, they review each of the strategic points for the strat plan and revise those according to what they see as far as setting the direction for the organization for the next 2 years. Out of that, and this is available online on ARIN's website under About Us, Corporate Documents is ARIN's strategic plan, but the highlights that pertain specifically to ARIN's engineering function is, one, overall, is to maintain, develop, and enhance the functionality of ARIN's services as sought by the users and supported by the membership. So clearly the board has said to the staff, the engineering staff specifically, work on those things that are important to the communities and the members. They then further break down the strat plan into organizational objectives, and that provides a little bit more fine-tuning on what some of those items are. And those are the three that you see here: support community discussions on ARIN's routing registry role and the global routing table management, and finalize specifications for ARIN routing registry enhancements. If you're not aware right now, we have an open consultation on the IRR through April 25th. We encourage you, if you have an opinion on the routing registry, please chime in. Next is the support community discussions on WHOIS evolution and registration data access protocol, RDAP support. Andy Newton earlier today gave a great presentation on RDAP, and as you can see, we're continuing to evolve that product. Lastly, continue to review and enhance online services, including making user interface improvements per feedback and customer survey. So a lot of the work that we do is actually, again, driven by the community, not only per board guidance, but what we get through our communications channels. There's a number of things that influence our work. This is a list here. I'm not going to go through each one, but as you can see, like any organization, we can have a number of activities that influence exactly what the engineering software team does. We use an agile process to try to be nimble, to actually respond and act quickly on those changes, because they're often dynamic. There could be a policy that's passed. It could be a request from a user that makes perfect sense. It could be a mailing list ad hoc that comes in from an AC user or an AC participant, an AC council member who's asking for statistics in response to considerations of a policy. So any number of things that we could actually have input into our engineering process. And these are some of them. So what have we completed since the last ARIN meeting in ARIN 40 in San Jose? Well, we've completed a couple of ACSPs, 2017-5, which is to add details to the invoices. There was a request for us to add additional details to supplement the information we already had there that would provide more detail as far as what is exactly being billed for. The second one, 2017-18, is an enhancement of the daily ASN delegation file. In that file, if you've seen it, we actually would provide a range of AES numbers where appropriate in some instances. Community, somebody in the community suggested that we actually break that out and then itemize those AS numbers, which we've done. Both of these, the work has been completed, but it has not been deployed yet. It is awaiting deployment on May 12th, where we will have a software deployment on that particular day. Improvements to transfer performance. It turns out that we've had a couple of very large transfers hit ARIN recently. You may not know, but it's sometimes not just necessarily moving the registration rights to another organization in the transfer process that Kathy just described. sometimes we have to actually break networks and do reparenting. And what we found is in some of the large transfers that we were processing, it took an inordinate amount of time to do that reparenting and that processing work. It was something our systems were not geared towards initially. Engineering stepped in and made the improvements right away that we needed done. And so therefore, looking forward, we have the systems in place that can support large transfers. We had redesign of tickets, the tickets section in Aaron Online, specifically listing, search, and view. And we've also improved delete network and delete reassignment capabilities within Aaron Online. Continuing on, we've added some additional security, particularly as it relates to changing security-related items within Aaron Online. We've had some improvements to Whois, and we have a framework for a new website, which I think Richard's about to talk about, so I'm not going to steal his thunder. Also, if you haven't had a chance of seeing Jan and Jesse outside, please do so, because they can give you a preview of the website that we will be launching at some point in the future. And lots of UI work that's going on. We've had a number of community suggestions over the years for us to take a look at our user experience within Aaron Online and make improvements accordingly. So we're doing that, and that does take a considerable amount of time because each page has to be looked at not only from a usability standpoint, but we're also taking the opportunity to make accessibility improvements as well. So in doing that, each page has to be visited and analyzed to figure out how to improve it accordingly, and then those changes implemented. So let's take a look. So here's an example. At the top, and I hope you all can see that. At the top, we have an old attachments screen. This is within Aaron Online. If you were submitting a request and you needed to provide additional documentation, this was the feature that you would use to actually do that. And it looks straightforward, but it actually created problems for some of our users in that it wasn't very clear once they had attached the files that they had actually done that. And so it ended up with a few requests actually sitting, waiting for the customer response because the customer had actually attached the files, or so they thought, but they really were not attached. So it created some additional time in processing a few requests. So alternatively, what the team came up with was a much cleaner interface for the ability to attach files. We also have a counter that keeps track of the amount of files that you can load, and it's a much easier process than simply selecting or grabbing and dropping the files that you want to add into Aaron Online for your request to actually submit those. It's a much cleaner interface. Similarly, the mergers and acquisitions transfers that you see that, to which Kathy referred to earlier. You can see on the left you have a screen there where you can select currently selected IP addresses or those that the user has selected. But if you look at the improvement that's on the right, is that not only does it allow those IP addresses to be selected, it also provides you at the top a little bit clearer navigation as far as organization networks and ASN documentations and review. But at the bottom, you can jump specifically to pages of resources as opposed to having to scroll through all of them, which you had to do in the old interface. So those are a sort of an outline or example of some of the improvements that we've made, and we're literally going through hundreds of screens to make those changes. Going forward, we'll continue on the user experience work and improve our usability and accessibility throughout the Aaron Online website. We're also offering test drives, and again, Jan and Jesse are out in the hallway if you'd like to participate, and taking a look at our new initiatives regarding our Aaron's website. We'll continue work on the Internet Routing Registry as well as RDAP, and continue efforts on technical debt, such as our providing upgrades to our development environments internally. And of course, that takes some effort as well. That concludes my report. I'll take any questions. Center front mic, Owen.
Owen DeLong. If we can go back to slide 7. That's not an improvement from my perspective.
Okay.
I would much prefer to have a long list than many pages to jump through to find the thing I'm looking for. With a long list, I can hit Command F, type in the one I want, and it scrolls there for me. I don't have to fight with the browser to figure out which page it's on. Additionally, having the rows denser versus sparser is useful, in my opinion. Having even smaller numbers of rows per page because you've got a big wide button on the right side is a step away from goodness, not towards it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for the input. Any other questions?
Remote participant.
Remote?
Anthony De La Cruz. It seems to be a daily user of Aaron Online, and it's so much better. Many thanks to staff for the improvements.
Thanks for the comments. We appreciate that. Any other questions? Thank you very much.